something. The lab. At the racetrack again. There you go, look, we've got all this lovely Bernie juice, noise making, pollution creating juice in the back there. We got a good score there. One of our followers, one of our watchers, Brent, helped us out there. I got tangled up in organising some other stuff and things and didn't organise my fuel for the day. So we're at As and Friends track day. I've not cleaned the car. Clark is looking very, very shabby, dirty. Look at the dust. Disgusting. Anyway, so what my plans are for today is obviously put all the gear on, which is going to be pretty hot. So it's a reasonable day. It's going to be pretty hot wearing all this, but that's the way it is. We'll go out, we'll do a couple of sessions, make sure everything's right. I might have a look at setting up flat shifting. Now, I've talked about that many times and not ever done it, but we'll see. We'll see how everything's going. If I've got other things to worry about, that might be the case, but probably flat shifting. Yay! Let's go. Car's on trailer, car's not broken. Well, I mean, sort of is, right? So it's still got that misfire. It's not rev limiting or oil pressure limiting or anything like that. What I'm pretty confident that is the relays getting a hard time with the vibrations in the car. Just, you could see that up the top end it seemed to be worse. It was getting worse. If we've got the footage from that last session, hopefully the GoPro worked. So these little puppies here, and I've pointed these out before. Now I went to start the car just before to put it on the trailer and it wouldn't turn on. There was no ignition at all. And so I gave this relay here a bit of a jiggle and then she came alive. That's no good, we can't have that. I've had enough of that, we need to get rid of those. There's an alternative style relay that doesn't have the fuses in them. I could potentially try that, put some inline fuses here, a fuse box beside it or something like that, and go for a normal type of relay. A solid state relay should, in theory, resolve the problem entirely. That may be a path that I choose to take. We'll see. I'll figure it out. Well, obviously, I work on a little bit of a budget, on a small budget, relatively small. But other than that, I'll put those things away before I drive home. She good. She went fast, we had fun. I was doing some mean laps. It's kind of sort of, a little bit of spit came down before. Spittle, he's a sailor. We don't like him. Anyway, a little bit of spit, but it's not raining. They're about to do their proper roll racing. Depending on who stayed here and who went home, we may have done quite well in that. We did all right before.
Eliminations are starting now. If you're not on track, you miss out.
There you go, you heard that. Like, it's running, it's sitting there. I could literally take a couple of strops in the can of Coke and drive out on the track and have a crack, but not with that little miss kicking, and I don't want to embarrass ourselves, have a breakdown out on track. So there will be another time. It's all good. It's all good. There's going to be another time. We've got plenty of fuel now. Yum, 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 yum. Fuel for the beast. All right, let's get this package home. Right, back home in the garage, obviously, no longer at the racetrack. Please ignore the idiot at the racetrack who was blaming those poor little relays in the car for the issues. Got home, plugged in the laptop, had a look at the logs again. After the first session, I'd gone out and it had cut out a couple of times. I looked at the logs and it was just rev limiting because I was revving it out too hard, being a goat. So foolishly assumed the last time that I went out that the cutting that was going on wasn't the oil pressure limiting, because I hadn't seen that earlier on in the early session. That's a dumb assumption to make, right? So I got home, opened up the logs, looked at it. It's that damn oil pressure safety cut again. Now I thought I'd been in there and, well, I definitely had been in there and changed things around. I thought I had changed that back to oil pressure versus RPM, which is a far, 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 far better way to do it. But I hadn't. I had just corrected the chart. If you go back through previous videos, it wasn't my error. There'd been a human error there and the chart was back to front so that you could have lower oil pressure but higher manifold pressure. So i.e. you could be screaming along at 5,000 RPM at full boost, and then when you lifted your foot off the throttle and reduced the manifold pressure but still had the same oil pressure, you would actually hit a oil pressure safety cut and rev limit the engine, which was frustrating to say the least. So I had corrected the chart, spun it around the inverse, the other way round, so that if you had high manifold pressure but low oil pressure, you'd get your rev cuts there, which is the way it should have been. Unfortunately, it's still not working. It's just a dumb way to do it, in my opinion. So I've now changed that to oil pressure versus RPM, which is the way the car had always run in the past, and we'd never ever had any problems with it. So I changed it back to that, and I've checked it 3 times to make sure the damn thing is changed back to that. I've also done a slight mechanical change on the car. No, I haven't fitted an oil cooler to the car. I don't believe we need one. Certainly not for Super Lap. Maybe if we're going to do some more fun days like that and beat on the car and take it out repetitively, then yeah, an oil cooler is probably not a bad idea for that. What I've done is I've actually shifted where the oil pressure sensor is located in the oil system. I had it in the most pessimistic spot possible, which was the oil feed for the turbochargers, post the filter, like after the filter for the turbochargers. That's probably the lowest pressure point in the system that you can tap into easily, and I did that quite deliberately. Given the issues we've had with oil pressure safety cuts and stuff, I Foxtrot Oscared that off somewhere else. It's now on the main oil filter housing, so we've got the real oil pressure for the whole system, and just when the engine's cold, just idling, it's about 20 psi higher pressure than what it was reading at the turbocharger feeds. So with the chart set up properly, oil pressure versus RPM, and the oil pressure actually reading actual oil pressure rather than turbo oil pressure, I'm pretty confident that problem is now gone, dead, gremlin slayed. We better not see that again. We've changed the oil in the gearbox, in the HGT Precision Sequential gearbox. Mint, put some fresh oil in that just for the sake of it. Nothing wrong with what came out of that. That's all looking very good. Topped up the transfer box. That does tend, just because of the way it's built, it does tend to leak just a tiny little bit of oil out past the seals, because the bearings that are inside still have the seals, and there's no breathing port in between the seal and the bearing, and if you're an engineer you know what happens there. But anyway, so that probably lost a spoonful of oil or something like that the last couple of times it's been used, so that's been topped up. That's good now. Been through and checked everything else. Car's good to go, basically. It needs clean. I need to clean it, and then we can go and attack a track somewhere else and see that we've got rid of that oil pressure safety cut, which, never mind, things happen, right? So, cool. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll progress further with the blue Z32 this week. There's lots to do on that. All right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Do that. Do that for me, please. Cheers. Bye. Bye.